We're at the People Insight by Hire Road stand, and I'm talking with Anna. Anna, really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Could you just introduce yourself and tell everyone who's watching what you do?
I'm Anna Tavis. I am the Department Chair for Human Capital Management Programs at New York University. And this is a very hot area right now where we are trying to solve for what are we going to do next?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very disruptive time in this space at the moment, isn't it? I mean, AI is the kind of the obvious thing that's going on. What other disrupting factors are kind of out there at the moment?
If you think of education, especially professional education, we're supposed to be upstream from all the transformation that's going on in the workplace.
Yeah.
And we're at the same point in history where the companies are who are looking to us to actually bring that next generation talent to work for them. And we feel a lot of pressure to be ahead of the curve on these issues.
Absolutely. And what brings you to Unleash? What are you hoping to get out of being here?
A whole number of opportunities. Obviously, given what I do, I learn from the needs of the business, the companies who are here, CHROs who are plentiful in attendance, and just having conversations in the community that is very much focused on these issues. It helps me then go back and design the right curriculum, attract the right people, have the right conversations with my students just in time in the workplace, in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a panel tomorrow, I think it is. Tell us about that.
I have a panel coming up, and speaking on the same issue about transformation of the workforce, leadership, management. And I think what will be really interesting about the panel is that I will be on the same stage as Microsoft, my colleagues from Microsoft and SAP. So two leading companies that are basically dominating the market from the point of view of servicing huge global organizations. And I'm there to provide my research, to provide my observations on where we are going now and what we might be, considering as an opportunity for the next steps.
Yeah, and I suppose the kind of the future horizon and the landscape has sort of changed so much in the last 5 years or so, but particularly the last sort of 2 years. What does that look like? Where are we heading? What are you sort of looking towards at the moment?
I think the most important feature of tomorrow and even today already is the acceleration of learning. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm coming from the learning side of the change, and I think we need to learn and unlearn so much faster than we did before, and that's not in our DNA. We are able to accelerate learning will make or break the outcomes of this whole technology revolution we're in.
And tell us a bit more about what's the impact on education of that kind of concept, but also the kind of things that AI is doing.
Yes, I think the impact is significant. There's not enough attention paid to how we can help people learn. I actually think that we are moving into the whole new generation of learning systems, and by that I don't mean technology system, I mean human systems as well. We will be able to provide each and every learner with a personalized and trained coach and assistant and tutor. We are beginning to introduce those tools already into our educational approach, where our students are able to learn at their own pace with their own preferences, and the tutors and the feedback and the ability to practice through these AI-powered tools accelerates learning significantly.
100%. And I know digital coaching is a sort of particular speciality of yours,
Yes.
isn't it? What does that look like? What are the impacts of it? How does it kind of go down? How do people feel about learning from not necessarily always learning from another human being, or in a way that we've traditionally learned stuff?
Yeah, I think that we're still going to learn from humans, because a lot of what's being coded into AI is human knowledge at this point. Obviously, at some point we're going to get to the next stage, but at least at this point. But the humans are, educators like myself, are still in charge.
Yeah.
And my role from delivering a body of knowledge and the students replicating and taking tests, certifying that they've learned from me, we are now in the joint discovery process.
Right.
My role is to organize, design learning environments where I may come to at the same time, to the same level of knowledge as my students. But my role is to bring those resources to them, again,
Right.
organize environment, and then launch them on a discovery journey, experiential discovery challenge, where they themselves, you realize what they need to learn and how they need to learn. And that is going to be accompanied, and already is, by a self-reflective process.
Right.
That not only the teacher, they don't need to wait for me to grade their papers. They're going to get immediate feedback and start improving and iterating just in time, on their time, whereas my role is going to be, again, to provide that, the whole design and environment, and then give them the final, advice, the final assessment of what they've done. And that's how they're kind of learning to not only deliver, but also learn how they learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a very, very important component, which is very different, drastically different with what we had compared to the previous learning models.
And do you think that this kind of model of learning is actually just much closer to how humans work and think? Because it can be delivered in that kind of one-to-one basis. We're not having to rely on people sort of attending things face-to-face and learning from one person. Just the scalability, do you think that kind of makes it more, almost more natural from a human perspective?
Yeah, I think it's much more personalized, because if you think about, and scalable, and you mentioned that word, because if you think about the inequities in education, we always had those types of personalized approaches available to select few. Tutoring system, you think of private schools, well-to-do families hiring tutors for their kids, prep courses for law school exams, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with these types of tools, they're cost-effective, and if they're built into the public, let's say, educational system, they're available to all, regardless of your, family income levels, or the zip code you live in, or what kind of school you attend. So I think that what we call in education, it really democratizes those methods of learning.
And obviously people moving from education into the workforce, there's never really been a time like it in terms of the speed of change we were talking about a bit earlier. What are the skills that people need to bring into the workforce right now, and how are they maybe changed from sort of 10 years ago?
And I think those skills are exactly the skills that we are now beginning to practice in the educational system, and that is ability to innovate, ability to search for their own information, ability to critically think about what information is presented to them, and be ready for constant change, as well as let go of the old obsolete knowledge, which is a big impediment to the change now, for example, today, because we have not emphasized those skills before.
And as you said, that is such a big thing for everyone at the moment, just unlearning what you've learned. And I suppose that the further you're into your career, the more difficult that is, because there's always a feeling that your knowledge is your kind of foundation as you move forward. Well, have you got any tips for people on how they can do that, the mindset that they need to kind of cope with this change and really think that everything they knew yesterday might not be valid tomorrow?
Yes, I think the one thing that is a huge motivator in a lot of cases is the fear of being obsolete, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's definitely a driver, but it's not enough. I think we need to put joy in this in the process and make it an enjoyable and exciting journey for any learner, any worker who is going to be engaged and in this type of discovery-based of jobs and qualifications. Again, that is not unknown to us as a human society, because let's look at people in my role, for example, and educators and researchers. They've been always doing innovators, entrepreneurs. They are driven by that innate sense of discovery. And now we want to make it available and scalable to all, so that the competition is then more of a norm, and innovation is more of a norm than an exception.
So in the world of work that we're sort of now entering, we've got humans, we've got AI, we've got all these things going on. Obviously, lots of people at the conference, senior HR people, and it just seems to me that the combination of people and technology sits very much, or should sit very much, with HR. How much do you think the role of HR needs to change, or is going to change, to kind of better reflect the situation that we're in now?
Yeah, it's a very interesting point, and I want to again provide an professional educator component there. I think that fundamentally, because we're changing the way we're educating the future generations, and it's also going to trickle through L&D programs. It's not only happening at the university level where I am, but also in L&D, executive education, et cetera, we need to change how people learn. I personally, again, I'm biased in that sense because I see everything through the perspective of how people approach these types of challenges.
Yeah.
And the way we learn, with the way we change, the way we, the way we solve problems needs to be fundamentally rewired if we are to succeed as a human race in this change process. Otherwise, so fundamentally we need to hardwire innovation, hardwire discovery, and hardwire experimentation.
Absolutely. And a final question for you. What does the future look like? What do you think, if we had this conversation again in 5 years' time, what would we be talking about?
I'm sure we're going to be worried about something else that will come downstream from where we are now. Yeah. However, I think we're still going to be puzzling over the roles of humans vis-a-vis technology.
Yeah.
Because I think not only technology is going to be replacing some of our functions, I personally have a lot of optimism around humans' ability to evolve, to change. So I think we're going to find a lot of untapped resources in who we are, how we work, how we learn, and how we live together.
Anna, thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.